we're going to talk now with Vanessa and
Catriona Davies.
Catriona Davies. Sort of brain. You've heard me talk before about the brain fade that I get when I get a couple of women in the studio. It just does my head in, you know. From Little Theatre, and we're going to talk about the Shakespeare Under the Stars event that's coming up from the 1st of November, is that right? Mm-hmm. First, 2nd, 8th, 9th?
7th and 8th.
7th
that's
and
8th and 9th. Oh, 8th and 9th, sorry. I always get it wrong.
So, I guess first thing is, what is the event? What's it called?
It's called Twelfth Night.
Twelfth Night?
And it's really a Shakespearean view at examining what is love in all its forms.
Right, yeah. So, is that what inspired you to do your last poem at the Little Theatre, the open mic?
No, it's not. It just happened to be a synchronistic sequence of events.
Right.
Because the poem was actually about what really is love. But it kind of did contribute in a way, I guess, actually, because the play explores all the different characters' kind of versions of love and what motivates their so-called love.
Yeah.
AKA lust or lack or desire or whatever.
Right. It might be their desire to get ahead in life as well, to go up the social ladder, and it might not, sort of disguised as love.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm a bit of a Philistine. I'm not that familiar with Twelfth Night. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of Shakespeare, but that one I'm not familiar with. My wife probably would be. She can quote lines from Shakespeare and things like that. But
it's a particularly famous comedy of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. It's very bawdy, very, very bawdy. Little risque in parts, isn't it? And you get a good laugh out of it.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely one of his best, I think, Shakespeare's best.
Yeah, and we were just talking off air, but I sort of had to play a song. So how does the Shakespeare Under the Stars work? It's not inside the theatre, obviously. It's to the side of it.
That's right.
So is there seating there, or do people have to bring their own?
No, we have seats all set up. So it literally is a stage outside.
Right.
We set up the scenery on a sort of a level area, and then we have all the seats down a little bit sort of below that.
Right.
So the view is excellent, and it's all just outside of the theatre.
Wow.
Yeah, they have the lighting up and a sound booth out there, and so everything's done outside under the stars. So it is sort of November, but it can get quite cold.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I do suggest you bring a blanket.
Right. Yeah, because this week's been a perfect example. The weather's been pretty unpredictable. We've gone from 28, 29 down to 13, I think, today.
That's it. And last year was hilarious. I think it was our second final performance, and we got all the way through, halfway through the final scene, and we had been dealing with a little bit of rain, and then it absolutely pelted down. The director called cut. We had to move the audience inside, and we redid the final scene inside.
Oh, wow.
Very drenched.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen this year, though.
No.
Of course not.
But it all adds to the wonderful experience of Shakespeare Under the Stars.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the thing. Yeah, you can't control the weather, and the dealing with the unpredictable is what performers have to do. We've been dealing with the unpredictable in here for the last week, where we couldn't get on air from Stanthorpe. We were all right from Tenterfield, but there was all sorts of technical issues, and you're in here and you think, this wasn't what I was expecting to do today, but some things don't work out, and I think that's the essence of performance.
Live performance.
You just got to do it. You just got to,
and you impro around it.
It's part of the fun of it, and it brings, especially with Shakespeare, where the audience is such a part of the performance as far as their feedback and their responses and really getting involved in that way. It kind of adds to that, doesn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, other than open mic, I've never done any performances, But
Ben, there's always, we need people,
yes.
actually. We've a role for a policeman and a sailor, if anybody's interested.
And this is my first performance as well. I have never done a play before, except for high school English.
I did a pantomime once in New Zealand. I got roped into it, and I was Squire McHaggis. Talk about getting typecast. And it was interesting, let's say, but I haven't done anything since. But I know what you mean. Even at the open mic, when you're up there on the stage, when the audience engages, you feel it, and you respond, and you sort of try to bring out your best. So for something as I suppose planned as this, where you've got a really good script to start with, you don't get much better.
Yes.
Just having the audience participate in that and respond at the right time with the laughs and the groans and whatever else. That's really important.
And it's really interesting how different audiences react differently too.
Yeah.
They laugh in different places, and as actors we come off stage and go, that got a laugh. I wonder why that got a laugh tonight, not last night.
And I guess it depends who's there.
It does. Yes.
And there should be lots of laughs in this one, because there's a lot of confusion and mistaken sort of situations and
who's in love with who
and who's not.
Yes.
So are you ready to give us a quick performance?
Sure, we can do a few lines for you.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Where's Malvolia? She's sad and civil and suits for a servant with my fortunes. How now, Malvolia?
Ho ho, sweetheart.
Smilest thou? I sent for thee upon a sad occasion.
Sad, lady? Oh, I could be sad, but this does cause some obstruction to the blood, this cross-gartering. But what of that? There we are.
Well, there we are.
No more. You have to see the rest of that when you come along.
You must come and see the cross-gartering.
Yeah, I'm sure that sounds very interesting. So how many of these Shakespeare Under the Stars have they done at the Little Theatre?
Oh, it's an annual event, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's only been a couple, 2 or 3 at the Little Theatre, isn't it? The rest used to be out at a winery, at a vineyard.
But have they always been organised by the Little Theatre?
They've been doing it for 20 years or more, I think.
Yes.
I think it's great that the Little Theatre there just seems to be so much more happening there in the last probably 12 months, the open mics, the karaoke, now the Sunday sessions, and just lots of little things happening, and live gigs happening there as well.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful space.
The community of the theatre is so welcoming. I lived in Stanthorpe for 6 years before and really didn't get out and about and didn't meet anybody for basically 6 years. And I decided, right, I'll join the Little Theatre. What a wonderful way to make friends. And it has become a family to me. Everybody is welcome, and everybody's so different and diverse, and yet it's just this wonderful family, and we welcome everybody. It's really great.
I mean, I've certainly felt that at the open mic nights. It's a really friendly space. It's great. It's a safe space.
I was about to say, incredibly safe.
And that's really important.
Especially as a new performer too, feeling that it's okay to challenge yourself into something that's difficult, expose yourself vulnerably, be courageous, and know that you're supported, and you've got people that aren't judging you or running you down. They're lifting you up. They're giving you constructive criticism to help you, and and it is safe. It is encouraging. I love it too, and I feel like it's a family as well. So I'm really grateful.
Made the best friends out of the theatre.
And learnt a lot of skills. Have personally expanded myself and my confidence, but also learn a lot of skills about so many different areas, really.
I might just come back to that. I'll play a song just to break things up. This is from a Brisbane artist. I first heard this girl singing in a pub in Brisbane. She was only 15. She wasn't even old enough to be drinking in the place. And she's gone on to create, I think she's touring with, what's the Perth band, big band, Lanterns, sang Lanterns. It's gone right out of my head. No. Big, but she's touring Australia with them. She's been to the Edinburgh Festival. She was at
15-year-old Brisbane girl.
Yeah. Well, she's not. She's 23 now. Or something now. But so this is from an acoustic set that she did at It's Still a Secret in Brisbane called Mr. Breezy.
Cool.
And we're back with Catriona and Vanessa from Little Theatre. So we were talking early about just what you get out of being in a performance like this, or just generally going along to events at the Little Theatre. We were talking off air about this. Can we talk about it on air now? So what do you? How do you feel you've sort of grown, if you like, as a performer? I've seen you, Vanessa, at Little Theatre at the open mic, for getting up and doing a poem and then doing another one, and then sort of some have felt, you're being a little bit brave here. You're bearing your soul. And that's really nice, because it is such a great environment to be able to do that. So how's that been for you?
Well, it has been a really growing experience, because I remember the first poem I got up to do, encouraged by a friend who was doing one of his poems. Thank you, Jim. And I was like, okay, so I found an old poem and I decided to do. I was very nervous, very softly spoken. Yep. And that has grown from continuing to go and do poems to eventually writing new poems and exposing that vulnerability within myself, who I am, the stuff that comes into my world, into my life, the way I think, or, experiences through my poetry, and being able to get up there and really express it fully and feel welcomed by everybody in expressing it. So it's grown me a lot in confidence, and also in this kind of courage within myself to be able to really express and be who I am, and trust that I can be accepted for that.
And it gets the appropriate response, because when you're up there being vulnerable, people appreciate that.
And that's the scary thing going into it, though, because I remember one of the poems that I was very deeply it came really from the depths of me. It was a very vulnerable one, and I was the whole time I had a spare poem backup just in case, because I was going to back out at the right up to the last second. And some other people came in. I was like, oh, is this the crowd? Oh, I don't know if I can do this. And I ran through all those stories in my head. And then finally, as I got up and I was still walking down to go to the stage, it just was like, no, I'm going to do the one that I came here to do. And I did it, and it was so well received. I had people asking me for the transcript of it. I had people telling me how it really moved them, and it was such great feedback. It let me know that, wow, it's not just about me. This is about sharing things with others. This is about having this connection, and being able to touch the hearts of other people.
That's right, and that's what I enjoy about it as well. I write for myself. I write stuff for my wife, but I don't write for anybody else. Sometimes I get prompted by something I see or something I hear. Quite often it's Trump.
Oh dear,
he gets me going. But it's very much when I started going along, I was the only person doing poetry, and now we've got half a dozen. It's great, you know.
And see, poetry is really not a very popular craft. And to have such a great group of people who want to share their poetry is wonderful, because it really is a lost art form.
And people who want to receive it. And I wonder with you too, Ben does it every month at Open Mic. He does a poem about open mic. And I wonder to myself, after all these months, how do you still find words to make a beautiful poem about open mic?
Well, let's just say this week it's not going to be about open mic. I've run out of ideas for open mic, but I'm going to do one about the Little Theatre.
Hey,
so it's just a different. If I can get the first line, I can get on with it. It's just coming up with something different. So, how long have you been doing this sort of performance?
So I haven't had a huge amount of experience sort of acting, but I've been an English teacher for my entire life, senior English teacher. So I guess through that, I have had a lot of experience just in terms of reading plays, and my father was very, very big into the theatre, so he used to do a lot of adjudicating of one-act play festivals and things like that. So as a little I was always dragged along. So I've been involved, and I've acted a little bit, but not a huge amount. But I've found the skills that you acquire through getting up and acting, it's particularly for young people who, you know, this generation communicates so much online, and their ability to communicate face-to-face can be quite difficult. You know, a lot of young people suffer from anxiety, social anxiety, that sort of thing. The theatre helps with all of that.
It so does.
It really does.
And I've actually got a child who has had a lot of social anxiety and, you know, really underconfident or being able to have conversations with people in general, just sort of
face
life,
to face,
and can do acting amazingly because they can get into a role, they can be a character, they can express an experience in a way that's different to how they normally can, and they can relate to an audience, a mass audience, and connect with them in a way that in their everyday life, one-on-one, they really struggle with. So it's such a beautiful opportunity, you know, in so many ways for all of us, really.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, as we say, it's so diverse. Our age ranges, you know, our youngest last year, certainly in Hamlet, our youngest was probably about 5 or 6, and the oldest would have been 75, you know. So it really is just bringing people together from all walks of life.
All right, we better wrap it up. It's been... If your enthusiasm here and your passion for it is anything to go by, then I think this is going to be a really good
you got to come along, and you got to come and join the theatre. It's awesome.
And you will love Twelfth Night and expect to get lots of laughs.
Yes.
Alrighty. And you can, if you just go on to the Little Theatre Facebook page or website, that'll give you details for how to get a ticket.
And they sell wine and cheese platters for the evening, and there's drinks there, and it's a fabulous night.
Fabulous night.
But bring a blanket.
Alrighty. Well, thanks very much. I'll play another track from Sahara Beck. This one's called Trip, and and I'll see you on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you all there.